Brandon over at BR Boxing. Ellis, how we doing, mate? You good?
Certainly, mate. You all good? How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Long time. It seems like it's been a while since I last spoke to you properly.
I know it has. It has. It's been a long while, isn't it? It's been a while.
It's been a long time, mate. It's been a long time. Obviously, a lot's changed since the last time I caught up with you properly. Obviously, great news. Making your pro debut. Yep. Signed to Goodwin Boxing now. Mm-hmm. It's mental because I remember seeing you consistently in the gym for a very long time. Probably one of the most dedicated people that I had seen consistently, obviously, because you was always at the gym and stuff, and your dad was there as well. Mm-hmm. What's changed in the past sort of year, really? Obviously, you making the decision to now make your pro debut and obviously move from the amateur world into the pro ranks.
Yeah. What's changed? I don't know. Obviously, I was always in the gym anyway. Even if I wasn't fighting, I was in the gym every day, training my dad, training with all the pros. So you got to remember, I'm around it a lot anyway. So when the boys are going, they're fighting for English titles, British titles. I'm in the corner with them, and I'm around them. I see that, so that's inspiring as it is, isn't it? It makes you want to do it yourself. I've always wanted to box, even before I see all that, and I was at the right age that I could turn over. I didn't want to be too young. I feel like a lot of people make them mistakes. They're too young and they decide to turn pro and they get to 24, 25 and they're sort of, in a way, they burn themselves out. You know what I mean? So I felt I was at the right age to turn pro and I'm more than good enough to feel. So yeah, that was my decision on turning pro, really.
Yeah, I suppose the main thing is it's all about timing. Some people, they might jump into it too quickly, or, you know, same as someone else might take a bit too long to turn pro. So if you feel like it's the right decision for you to have done that now, and I'm pretty sure your dad would have advised you as well, then you know, it's probably a good time to do it. You're still young, you still got a lot to offer, you know, at the start of your pro career. And mate, I could see you going a very, very long way. Even when you was a lot younger, just being in the gym and stuff, even from when you were hitting the bags, doing bits of sparring, you was hitting like a fully grown man, even when you were younger. Yeah. So, you know, you've always had that about you. So, mate, listen, I think you've got a lot to come ahead of you in boxing, and obviously looking forward to you to have a long, successful career. One question I like to ask a lot of people is, how did it all start, really? You know, when was the first instance you ever walked into a boxing gym? Which boxing gym did you walk into? And obviously, how did that lead up to where you are now?
Okay. Right. So, obviously, my dad's been a pro coach. He's been a pro coach for years, since I can remember. I think before I was born, he trained pros, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, so it must have been when I was a kid. I'd be on a football camp or whatever. My dad would pick me up, and he'd have to go train someone at the gym, say train the pros, and I'd go down there with him. And I think the first gym I went into was, do you know where Wanstead Rugby Club is?
Yeah. In
that building, there used to be a boxing gym years and years ago, and it's a dusty old gym, and I loved it in there. Like, fucking used to run around, kick the bags, punch the bags. Like, I was young, you know what I mean? And
of course,
I was always in the gym. Always, my dad would go to work, and I'd pester him. Oh, can I come with you? Just to sit there and watch. And I was a little gym rat, you know what I mean? I used to be in the gym all the time. So it started off there, and then obviously I did sports all my life. So I started off with football when I was really young. Then I got into athletics, carried on playing football, played an all right level of football. Then got into rugby, got scouted from school for Saracens, played for Saracens for 3 years. And then I got to maybe 13 and I decided I wanted to box properly. I think the time it changed it, I was watching James DeGar box. I can't remember where it was. I think it was at Blue Water or somewhere like that.
Yeah.
And just the excitement around it and the buzz in it, and that gave me the bug. And from then on, I wanted to be a boxer. To be fair, I went through a few stages, maybe as I got a bit older, where I was 50-50 on it. But yeah, that was where it all started, really.
And the thing is as well, I think with like what you just said there about being 50-50 on it, I feel like that's most people with most things. You're going to have your good days, you're going to have your bad days. But, you know, there comes a point where you think, you know, look, I'm actually good at this. I'm enjoying it. I can see myself doing it. And then that's when you take that push forward, which obviously you've done. In terms of the amateur side, what was it like fighting in the amateurs? And obviously, how did that influence your decision to want to go pro? Because for people who obviously don't know much about boxing, there's a very big difference between the styles in the amateurs and the pros from experiences I've seen. And obviously from speaking to other fighters, I know they're trying to change it a little bit now, but it's a very different ball game, isn't it, in terms of fighting styles and stuff like that?
100%, it's completely different. Completely, in a way, it's like two separate sports. It's crazy. Like if you've obviously boxed amateur and turned professional, you get someone. The reason you have amateur coach and professional coach is two different styles completely. You'll find that they change your style completely. Rather than sort of bouncing around and tapping, you're sitting down your punches more and trying to hurt people. For me, when I first started amateur, I struggled. I did struggle a little bit because where I'd always trained my dad and trained around pros, I had that pro style, and going to an amateur style, I was fine. I was fine if I was sparring 5-6 rounds, but over the course of three 2-minute rounds and throwing everything in the kitchen sink, you know what I mean? Like it was tough, but it took me a little while to get used to it. I got used to it, and then, as I say, I was always in the gym with the pros anyway, so that style always suited me more. So obviously after a while with amateurs, and obviously I went uni for a bit, boxed amateur there, and then after that I had a bit of time out from the ring. Didn't really do too much, and then I decided to turn pro because I was always around it. I felt like I was good enough to do it. So yeah.
See, I think your style is 100% suits professional boxing. Even just seeing little clips from you in the gym, the way you train, you sit on your shots.
Yeah.
It's that pro style, and like you say, that's obviously been an influence of, you know, the sort of fighters you've been around, and obviously being around your dad and stuff. I see your dad coaching quite a bit, and you know, look, he's 100% one of the best coaches I've seen. And you know, if you look at the stable, what he's produced and some of the guys that are coming out of his training, then you know, look, if you can live up to that, mate, then I'm pretty sure you'll have a very long and successful career. And as well, you know, I think for your age, even when you was a bit younger, you was always quite a big lad. I remember when you was young, and probably the first time I met you, I didn't realise how young you was, because you was quite a big guy. Do you know what I mean? And I think you've now filled out even more, but you still got that athletic, like the athleticism about you. Do you know what I mean? You've got a nice athletic build. You're fast. You're strong. And I think whoever you're fighting in your debut, mate, they're going to be in trouble. Have you got sort of much detail into the exact person you'll be fighting yet?
Yeah, you know what? I can't remember the guy's first name. I've noticed the name was Ayad. I'm pretty sure he boxed Tommy Fury at some point. But I don't even look too much into it. I leave that down to my dad to watch the video. Because I feel like the more you look into it, the harder and the more you overthink things, you know what I mean? So I might look into something, I see that I know the guy's a little bit taller than me, I might think he's a bit taller, so I might try and change my style to fight him, but unless my dad tells me to, I don't need to, you know what I mean? I'm going to go in there and do what I do best, and touch wood, the win comes.
100%. I think, you know, sometimes looking into things too much, it plays on your mind when all you need to do is focus on your boxing. Do you know what I mean? All the other stuff's going to be covered in the background. Your dad will tell you if you need to change anything, and then you just go in the ring and do the business on the night. I think sometimes it's easy to get lured into looking into things too much when they don't need to be looked into. Do you know what I mean? You know what you've got to do. Your team around, you know what you've got to do, and they'll obviously help you into any instructions or whatever. What have you done differently? Because obviously now you're in your first professional camp.
Yeah.
So, like, when you've been training for fights previously, what have you had to do differently? And, you know, is there any adaptations you've had to make, obviously, now going into the pro ranks?
You know what? Training's been pretty similar. Where I've always been around all the pros anyway. I've always trained exactly the same as they do. So training's not much different. In myself, maybe my running and bits and pieces, I'm pushing it, forcefully pushing it that little bit extra. Purely because I know I've got a pro debut, and you get that bit more extra motivation than you would do for another fight. So yeah, I'm pushing myself to the limits every day, as I did before. Not much has changed, and I think the only thing that really changes for a camp is if you're fighting a southpaw or an orthodox, you might have different sparring. Or if you're fighting someone taller, you might have taller sparring, shorter. You know what I mean? But apart from that, not much changes really. As I say, I've been around all the pros training before, so it's pretty. I know about it. You know what I mean?
See, I think that's where you've got a bit of a leg up, like you say, because most people, like we said earlier, where the amateurs and the pros are so different in terms of the fighting styles, probably the training you'll be doing, etc. But where you've always been around that pro environment, not much is changing for you because that's how you've always trained. Do you know what I mean? You've sparred that way, you've done your pads that way, you're conditioning that way. So now moving to the pro ranks is going to be a lot more of a smoother process for you than it would for maybe someone that's not been around that. So I think if anything, mate, that's going to help you in the long run. Not just with this camp, but obviously camps coming forward. What weight are you going to be fighting at? And have you decided whether you're going to sort of stick to this weight or is it just for the first fight? What are you going to sort of do with that in terms of the weight side?
Weight-wise, I'm boxing at middleweight. So championship weight, that would be 72.6 kilos, I believe. But for my first fight, I'd be at 75 kilos. And obviously, I'll build down slowly if I was boxing for a title. At first, I was 50-50 on whether I was going to go middleweight or super middleweight. Obviously, I'm quite tall for middleweight. And I knew that super middleweight could have worked for me as well. But I just got to my diet and it fell off easy, to be fair. So I know that at the moment I'm comfy at middleweight. Maybe eventually in a few years' time I might build out a bit more and fill out into a super middleweight. But as I say, for the time being, I'm comfy there.
See, I think at a middleweight you'll be a big middleweight as well.
Yeah, definitely.
You'll be big, you'll be strong, you'll be able to dominate people. What I think is quite interesting about your style as well is even though you've got like a vicious, like there's a lot of venom in your punches. When you throw them, they're snappy shots. But you're very slick off the jab as well.
Yeah.
Throw that jab, and then when you need to get rough, you can. So obviously, on fight night, we're going to expect that. You're going to be letting them go and then popping that jab out, moving nice and stick because you move well. Do you know what I mean? For someone who's quite big, you move well, and then you get in. I've seen you throw some body shots a couple of times, and they were a bit ruthless. So, is that kind of what we're going to see from you at your call?
You know what? For me, I'm not gonna sit there and go in there and have a dogfight. That's not what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try and outbox him as much as I possibly can. And if it comes down to me having to have a dogfight and I'll have one, I'm not fussed about that. But as I say, why take punishment when you don't need to? I'm gonna keep everything long off a jab, box him and see what comes off. You know what I mean? It might work out that I find it quite easy to hit him to the body. I might find out that I can't hit him to the body. I can easily hit him to the head. You take it as it comes when you get in there, really. So I'll start off on the jab and take it from there.
And I think as well, it's like you say, you just said a good thing there. Why take punishment if you don't need to? I think, the aim of the game is to hit and not get hit. So if you can box him off the jab, look nice and slick while doing it, and then come out there untouched, it makes a lot more sense than you having to go in for a pointless war, which you didn't need to do if you know you can physically beat him boxing him. If it does come to it, though, I do think you've got the attributes to do that as well. So the good thing is it kind of swings in your court both ways, more than happy to sit there and box you, nice and class, bob bomb. If there comes a point where you feel you have to get a certain way, then obviously you can do that as well. Obviously some great guys around you in your dad's team as well. And look, you guys have got a really good stable over there. Being around people like Linus and stuff like that. What's that like to obviously be with training wise? Is he giving you a lot of help, obviously, with experiences he's had in the ring and stuff like that? Because I can imagine you guys are quite close, obviously, working with your dad.
Yeah. Linus is like one of my best pals. You know what I mean? When it don't come to the boxing, I'll go out with him during the week and we chill. When he's in camp, we'll go up lunch and do whatever. You know what I mean? To keep ourselves busy. He's of course, all of them. They're all inspirations. You know what I mean? I'll come out after a sparring session and I'll give him some tips on what I can do better, what I've done well at, and it's just they got that bit of experience over me, so they might know things that I might not. You know what I mean? So it's always good getting tips off of them, and it's motivational being around them. You see them do things and the way they're going and the people they're around. Say like Lions Box on Channel 5 last, like being around that sort of show and watching how it is in that life, it makes you want to be like them. So it's always surround myself with the right people and make sure I'm not surrounding myself with people that I'm going to get distracted by. So I spend a lot of time with them, and yeah, they help me out a lot.
The thing is, I think when you surround yourself with people like that, they're gonna rub a lot of good things onto you. Like I say, you know, you probably rub loads of great things onto them too. But it's just being surrounded by them people, especially where you're at now. You've got your pro debut coming up,
Definitely.
and it's that sort of first starting stage into the pro ranks. Having those guys around you, Brad Pauls is another guy as well. Having those guys around you, I feel like it's just going to boost you. And you know, you've got such a good, strong team around you. It seems like there that you know, it's sort of built from the foundations up, really. Now, a couple of the fighters, what I've had interviews with, I always ask them this because some people have completely different answers. But going in, like, you know, now this is a massive thing. You're stepping into a pro rank. This is where you can sort of take your career to the next level. And, you know, look, the possibilities are endless, especially for someone, you know, with your natural raw talent. What do you want out of the game? If you told yourself, you know, look, I want to go and win titles. There's a certain title I want to win. Is there like a particular route what you want to go down?
I'm gonna go down the traditional route, to be fair. So I'm gonna start off, get a few wins under my belt. I ain't in no rush. I'm young, so I'm not gonna sit here and say, right, in 5 fights time, I want to be boxing for this, in 6 fights I did for this, 7 fights for this. You know what I mean? I'm gonna take it as it comes. I'm gonna get as much experience under my belt, and then I'd like to start off with a Southern Area title, box for a Southern Area, hopefully build up to an English and a British. But as I said, I don't like looking too deep into things and thinking, right, I want to have this by this point and this by this point, because I feel like you can overlook what's in front of you then, and you've got to, every fight you have is a stepping stone. So I've got to take my first fight now, my debut, as serious as I take, let's say I box for a British title or an English title. I've got to take them just as serious, because if I lose this fight, then there's no chance of me getting to a British title. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I don't like putting a time limit on things. I'm going to see how far this takes me, and of course, I'm always going to strive for the top. Of course, I am. I'm always going to believe in myself. But I don't like sitting here saying I want this in this amount of time or anything like that, because that puts pressure on myself. And yeah, as I say, I'll always look at what's in front of me rather than 10 steps ahead.
Do you know what? I think that's actually such a good way to look at things, because it's so easy to try and tell yourself where you're going to be in 3 fights time. And then it's easy to fall short on the person that you're fighting now. But if you would have focused on that and put your whole attention into it, you know, then taking things at a time. So, you know, look, if I'm being completely honest, out of a couple of the fighters who I've spoke to who are making pro debuts, and, you know, is it a reflection on the upbringing you've had with the pros already? But it seems like the mindset you've already got coming into this fight is like 2-3 steps ahead of most people that are coming into their first fight. And I think as you progress and get more experienced in the pros, that's just going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. And the mindset's just going to improve, as well as your boxing ability. Like you say, now you're going to be doing more pro fights. So people you're fighting are going to be a higher caliber. And, you know, as the fights go on, the fights obviously going to get more tougher, but then you're going to improve in yourself. And, you know, really what more can you ask for that with the mindset you've got coming into your first fight? Now, in terms of, you know, dieting and stuff, this is something that I always find so interesting, because you see a lot of boxers, they keep their shape, they keep themselves fit. What's diet like for you? Are you strict on your diet? Is your body naturally a physical shape where, you know, you can tend to be a little bit more lenient, or are you kind of very strict with what you're eating day to day? Like, is it very regimented, like a system to what you have?
Obviously, in between fights, when I ain't got a fight, I sort of half eat what I want. I don't blow up massively where I'm always active in the gym. I'll sort of blow up good for like 5-6 kilos or whatever, but nothing more than that. During camp, I'm regiment. I'm on it. I do my meal preps every day. So I'll start off with it first thing in the morning. I'll have Weetabix every morning, and then I'll have 2 meal preps in the afternoon. I'll have one at 12ish, one at 3ish, which I'll pre-prep during the week, and then I will have dinner at night. But I'm always making sure I'm eating clean, drinking loads of water, because it's not even so much for my weight. It's more for how you physically feel in yourself. When you do it and you go, let's say for example, go to the track. If I'm not dieting compared to when I am dieting, I feel like a different person. I don't tire out as much. I feel a lot better. I feel a lot lighter. I don't feel so sluggish, and it makes a big difference in that sense as well as obviously losing your weight. But yeah, as I say, I'm very, very regiment on what I do during camp. After camp, maybe not so much. I'll eat a few pizzas and I don't mind a bit of shit food. But
100%.
apart from that, yeah, I'm
A
very...
little bit of pizza never hurt no one. That's what I say. But that's my problem. That's why I'm not a pro boxer and you are.
Trust me, I love it as well. Believe me.
Yeah, and the thing is, that's why it's tough for you guys, because you think, like, you know, it's hard. And I was actually interviewing one of the fighters I speak to quite often, Luke Evans, about this. I saying, like, I feel like sometimes people don't give boxers enough credit, not on the fighting side, on like outside of the ring. You know, look, like spending time away from your family because you're in the gym so much. Do you know what I mean? People have got partners and they can't spend as much time with them because they need to be in the gym training. You know, when you're in camp, can't go out and eat certain things. You're sort of restricting yourself. And people don't realize the effect it has, not just on you, but like mentally and physically. Do you know what I mean? And all the other people around you as well.
Yeah, of course. No, there's a lot of sacrifices in it, and even when your mates are going out, like your mates are going out up London or out to a club, you can't go. You got to sit in. Not me. I don't drink anyway myself. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of that. When your mates go have a little laugh at the pub and they go to McDonald's after, I'll go to the pub and pop up and have a few sparkling water and limes, but I ain't going to McDonald's after. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Them sacrifices, of course, when you're out of camp, you might enjoy doing them. But when you're in campus, it can in some ways be a lonely place. Depends what sort of, you got to have the right sort of people around you who understand the sport of boxing and understand the brutality of it to realise why you do what you do. You know what I mean?
100%. What's it been like with you tickets wise? Have you been dealing with that yourself, or have you got someone to help you obviously do that in the background while you focus on your training?
You know what? I'll do it. I've done it myself, which I haven't really minded it too much. It's a stressful part of the game. You know what I mean? Very stressful. Anyone who's come up through the small hall will tell you that themselves. It's a stressful part of the game, but everyone that's got tickets off me it's easier than I drop them the ticket. They give me the money.
Yeah.
Put it into an envelope and it's sorted. You know what I mean? So I've been quite lucky, and I've got enough support from everyone, which I really appreciate, to cover the costs of everything and earn a bit of money myself. So I can't complain on ticket sales. You know what I mean? I've luckily done enough, and it's been pretty smooth run this time.
A lot of people don't realise that as well. You know, at the start of your career, and you know, even for some time, pro boxers, you guys have to sell your own tickets. Do you know what I mean? It isn't just get in the ring on a day and fight and train for it. No, you're not doing that. It's the whole process behind it. You know, you're doing interviews like this, taking out time to come and speak to people like us. You know, you've got people coming to the gym for interviews. You've got your actual training you're doing. You're seeing your family. You're selling tickets. Like really, at the moment for you, it must feel like you're just 100 mile an hour doing everything.
Yeah, it's literally non-stop. As I say, like I wake up in the morning, I do PT sessions as well. So I wake up some mornings, I'm in the gym at 6 o'clock, so I'm up at 5, you know what I mean? And do a few sessions, and I go home, have some breakfast, come back, train. Then I might be dropping around a few tickets, and I'm sorting out my fight kit, and then I've got to go track in the evening, I've got to go for a run in the evening, and then I go have a steam sauna at the end of the day to chill out. So it's pretty non-stop. People think that I train once a day. Train twice a day, and that's it. I don't do nothing else in my life. Trust me, I'm like a day like today, I'm non-stop. Like I haven't sat down all day, not since 8 o'clock this morning. You know what I mean? It's not as easy as everyone thinks, but the sacrifice and will eventually pay off, hopefully.
And the fight is next Saturday, the 25th is next Saturday, if I'm correct. Saturday the 25th?
Saturday 24th, yeah.
24th. So Saturday the 24th, the fight next week. Yeah. What is your sort of preparations now for the next week and a bit, week and a half?
Preparations, right? So for next week or so, it's going to be tough, really tough. It's the last grueling week.
Yeah.
I'll have sparring, or I'll have a few days of sparring. I have some really tough sessions, cardio sessions, boxing sessions, everything. My last bit of strength conditioning, because week of the fight, you don't really do that. So the next, up until probably Friday or Saturday, it's gonna be tough, really tough. And then the week after, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, probably a little bit Thursday as well. It's all just tapering down, so keeping your sharpness, making sure your weight's all right. I won't be doing nothing mad. A few rounds in the bag, a few rounds skipping, a few rounds shadow, and just sharpening up really a little bit on the pads. Yeah. So it's the next week will be hard, or this week will be hard, and then after that it's the fun part. You know what I mean? Tapering down, and actually fighting, which is what you train up for. You know what I mean? This is the part which ain't so fun.
And how many rounds you fighting for your pro debut?
It's 4 rounder, so 4 3-minute rounds, 1 minute rest. Obviously, you start off with 4 rounds, and then as you fight, build up bit by bit. So after a few fights, it might be 6 rounds.
Yeah, go up to 6.
Obviously, hopefully, box for titles eventually.
Yeah, of course, mate. Listen, I've got every bit of faith in you, to be honest with you. So you know, look, in terms of that, starting off at 4s, working your way up. I think we've got a lot to come from you, mate, in the next couple of years. I tell you that. I've even been saying to a couple of people earlier today who I was speaking to about interviewing you, I said, I'm telling you now, look out for this geezer. In a couple of years' time, everyone is going to be speaking about this geezer. I'm telling you that now. And I genuinely do think that. I think in a couple of years' time, people are going to be going, mate, this geezer, he's fucking smashing everyone. Mate, I can see it happening. I see you from a young kid in the gym doing it. Do you know what I mean? And I know what you're capable of. And I'm very confident next week that whoever's there, if you're there, listen, you're going to be in for something special. If you're not there, then you're going to be pissed you weren't there. How have you got many tickets left at all, mate?
I've got a few, yeah.
Ringside,
cool. Order individually, but standard tickets I've got them, yeah. So tickets, just let me know, and I'll sort them out of you.
100%. What I'm going to do is I'll speak to you outside of this, and I'll definitely be there, mate. 100%. We'll come and watch you. For anyone that hasn't joined us now, obviously you're going to post a video onto YouTube. Make sure you go and support Ellis. I'll make sure I put all his social media stuff all in the description. Make sure you follow him. Get in touch if you want to come and see the fight. Make sure you get in touch with him for tickets. And I promise you now, this guy is going to go a long way. So make sure you keeping on the journey. I'm pretty sure we'll be having more conversations in here. We'll go down and do a conversation with Ellis in the gym. And mate, obviously, thank you for sparing some time today. I know you're a busy man at the moment, so if you take the time out today, mate, I appreciate it. And yeah, man, let's go and get them next Saturday. Big news, big pro debut. Let's go and get them.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
No problem, bro. Cheers again, and we'll catch up soon, man. Love. Good luck next week.
Thank you, mate. Thank you.
Nice one, bro.